One of the top 5 most dishonest things Trinitarians say is that the word angel just means a messenger.
So Metaphysics Mike has been on a bit of a anti-Trinitarian bender lately, and I've been watching it from the sidelines, watching him fight with guys like Ryan Mullins and IP, and I saw this and I just have to weigh in. As is going to become clearer throughout this video, Metaphysics Mike is just simply arguing above his pay grade on some of these topics. He's not informed on the academic issues here, and that's going to become clearer when we look at how he argues his points.
This is the Hebrew word malach. Now you could know this just from looking at the definition to see that it can mean a messenger.
Alright, I have 2 problems here. First off, you're using the Strong's Concordance, which is just a massively outdated reference work. If you actually want to engage in word studies, you need to be using more up-to-date lexical resources like Hebrew Aramaic Lexicon of the Old Testament, or Theological Word Book, or Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament, something like that. If you're going to go Strong's Concordance to make your argument, I'm automatically just thinking, okay, you're not up to the task here. And that's just in general with any Christian. I'm going to say that too. So you need to look at an actual modern reference work. So let's go ahead and do that for the word malach. So at the top here, this is the definition from the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament, and below that I have the definition from the Theological Word Book of the Old Testament. Both of them you can read. I'm not going to read them out because it's going to take too much time. Both of them affirm messenger as the primary meaning, although the Theological Word Book also does include the idea of a representative or a courier or something like that, someone commissioned on a mission. But the general idea here is a messenger. So the second problem with Mike's argument is that he blatantly admits this.
Can mean a messenger, but it can also mean an angel, or an angel that is a messenger, or even a prophet, priest, or teacher.
So the second you admitted the word malach can be used to refer to just a messenger and doesn't necessarily refer to this non-human, non-God being, the second you admitted that, you lost this objection to Trinitarianism. And let me explain why. The entire reason that Mike is bringing this up is because Trinitarians, like myself, will point to someone like the angel of the Lord in the Old Testament as evidence for a binitarianism in the Jewish Godhead. And the objection to that often comes up as, oh, but it's an angel. Oh, look, it's an angel. See, therefore this can't be, it can't be God. It can't be Jesus. Things along those lines. And the response that Trinitarians like myself give is, yes, that is an angel, but an angel is not necessarily some distinct ontological being, as that word is often used in modern parlance. That word has a meaning of messenger, and so if there are 3 people in the Godhead and one goes and sends a message on the behalf of the other, then that person can rightfully be called a messenger. So as long as Mike admits that just general messenger is a meaning here, then a Trinitarian like me, we're right. We're doing fine here, because we're going to say, okay, yeah, so you're admitting that the way that the Trinitarian is using this is within the semantic range of the word, and now you don't have your objection. The Trinitarian doesn't have to prove that every single time the word angel is used, it's only being used in some general, generic messenger sense. So I don't know what Mike thinks he's getting at here by calling us dishonest for this. He's defeated his own position here if he's trying to combat this type of Trinitarian back and forth, which I do think is what he has in mind.
And though they laugh at you in a very blissful ignorance, you have to educate them to look at the English word.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop this here to say, Mike, you really need to tone your rhetoric down a notch. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anyone who's seen my past videos know that I'm guilty when it comes to kind of inflammatory rhetoric, and I'm trying to work on that. But here's the thing: you're being very arrogant when, my man, you just really shouldn't be. I've watched several of your Trinitarian videos, and I've been sitting here thinking, what is this guy even arguing? Like, I don't even know. Like, some of the things you say, I don't think that you have thought out your own positions. That you get on here and you say these things like, oh, they're in a very blissful ignorance, and you have to educate them. I think you need to recognize that you're not quite as smart on this subject as you think you are, and maybe have an air of humility. And this is also on my mind, considering you just posted a video in which you were pretty inflammatory to Dr. Ryan Mullins about the topic of divine simplicity, when he's an expert on that topic, and the things you cited to dismiss him or refute him were a bunch of internet articles, like things from Wikipedia or Got Questions or something like that. And that, in combination with the fact that you're trying to go to Strong's Concordance to make these type of arguments, you just really need a dose of humility here, of just brother to brother. All right, let's keep going.
That was chosen. Angel, because the translators know what the Hebrew people were trying to communicate, which is that an angel was a spiritual being who is neither human nor God.
No, so there's several things going on here. First off, the word angel comes from a corresponding Greek word, which is angelos, and that also means to be a messenger. And so when the Old Testament would have been translated into Greek, this is the word that would have been used instead of malach. And as the New Testament writers go on, they also use this term. And over time, that word, which I'll just say angel to make it short and easy, angel does come to take on through as Christianity develops and as theology progresses. Angel does begin to be used specifically in this way of this type of supernatural, non-human, non-God messenger. However, the fact that it later comes to be used in that way does not give us permission to read that back into the Old Testament use of malach and pointing to, oh look, modern English translators use it this way. Yeah, modern English translators use it that way because they recognize that there are some instances in which the messenger is supernatural, and so they likely just plug that in to avoid confusion. However, if we're going to be honest, this modern usage of angel isn't super precise and needs some modification. So just in general here, your point is not getting off the ground. This is not a zinger. This is just mistaken.
So anytime you hear a Trinitarian say this, know that they are either ignorant or lying to you.
No, we're not ignorant. We're not lying to you. We're pointing out which virtually all modern reference works note, which is that the word malach, which is used in reference to things like the angel of the Lord, does have a primary meaning of messenger. It does not necessarily, as you yourself have admitted, it does not necessarily indicate that this is a non-human, non-God kind of in-between being. And so because of that, we can ascribe deity to something like the angel of the Lord and saying, oh, well, look, it's an angel, that's not a solid rejoinder here. And again, the fact that you're saying that everybody who disagrees with you on this or everybody who would suggest otherwise is either ignorant or lying, really, man, you just need to pump the brakes. You seem more enthusiastic about just posting a bunch of videos critical of Trinitarianism. You're more enthusiastic about that than you are about making sure that what you're saying actually makes sense and is backed up by the data. Because in general, like I said, the fact that you think that this is some big defeater for Trinitarianism, this isn't a defeater. Like, I don't even understand why you posted this. You just seem to be playing really fast and loose with these concepts, and you need to put more thought into these videos.